Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Political Zone and good evening. I am Hassan Zafar. With regard to the war in the Middle East between Iran and Israel, we'll be taking a look at the situation from a different angle today. But let's begin with asking a few fundamental questions. Is this a territorial dispute? Is this a religious war? Or is the Middle East now a new battleground for the oligarchs? Or the whole Israeli campaign is merely an operation of regime change in Iran? The title that you notice, Trinity and Chance, is taken from the Catholic Bible, Ecclesiastes chapter 9, proverb 11, that I'm going to read for you, but a little bit about Ecclesiastes. It's known for its exploration of life's meaning. This book in the Old Testament, categorized as a wisdom book. It's known for its exploration of life's meaning and purpose, often through a perspective of questioning and skepticism. So here is the quote from the book. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 9, proverb 11. The race is not given to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor bread to the wise, nor riches to men of understanding, nor favor to men of skill, but time and chance happen to them all. In quote close, in Clausewitz's theory, chance or uncertainty is a fundamental and unavoidable aspect of war. It's not merely a minor detail, but rather a core element that significantly impacts decision making and outcomes. Clausewitz believed that chance, along with friction and passion, forms a trinity that shapes the nature of war. We'll discuss this with Simon Sharaf Sahab. Thank you very much, Samson Sahab, for your time. This is Walaikum Salam.
And good evening, everybody.
This is what you gave me. This is what you shared with me today. This quote from the Old Testament.
Yeah.
How does it?
The verse from the Old Testament is very dear to me. And
Yes.
Whenever I meet any person who is of importance to the national interest of Pakistan, I tell them this verse. And I tell them that chances will come to you. And what you have to do is pick up the right chance. For instance, if a batsman is batting and not scoring, the match is already lost. You don't have to take his wicket. You let him lose. In warfare, there are so many examples of chance. You take the Battle of Badr, you take the Battle of Walaja, you take the Yarmouk. These three battles fought by Hazrat Khalid bin Walid. He always exploited the chance. Even Napoleon was a master in exploiting chance. The Battle of Marengo, he took a risk and a chance and he won it. And that is what turned the tide in his favor. Very few people remember what even Ludendorff, in his German wars of unification, he had a two-front situation. And he took the chance, he sorted out one front and then moved to the other. And though he was numerically inferior, but at the point of decision, he took a chance and amassed a bigger force, more potent force, and won the war. So, Karl von Clausewitz, who is known to be the father of modern philosophy and science of war, and a writer who I study, and I've studied in detail, I've written commentaries. He mentions the Trinity, which is chance, passion, and friction. Chance is the chance, as we know. Passion is The people. Who are the people with you and what passion? And friction is all that is slowly impeding the conduct of war. Because as the war continues, there's friction on ground, there's friction in planning, there's friction because of the enemy, there's a friction because of mental inertia, which is very damaging. And then all combined, you lose the game of chance. So, this is what Trinity and chance is, and very wisely said in the Holy Bible, the race is not to the fastest, victory is not to the strongest. And there stands the game of chance. In this chance, there's Trinity. Once we talk of Trinity, there's another point which is known as the culminating point. It is the zenith. And there's
Hmm.
another point which is the depression, which is known as the nadar. So the statesman has to conduct his war, and the generals have to conduct the war close to the culminating point. The culminating point, if it arrives too early, you win too early, or if it comes too early, the enemy may seize the chance, destroy you there, and then you have nothing left. So, one of the most important things with relation to the conflict between Israel and Iran is if we put these three things together, are they reach who is going to reach the culminating point first? Who has more friction on his side? Who has more chance on his side? So this is the context.
Right,
The
very interesting. Very interesting. So, with this wisdom in the background, how do you see uh, the ongoing conflict between Israel and Iran? What kind of chances they have up their sleeves? How can
let's
they
let's take
capitalize?
the passion. Let's take the passion first.
Okay.
I think the Iranian nation, for the purpose of this discussion and historical perspective, let me call them the Persians. They have a very high morale. They are very highly motivated. They are not afraid of death because their religious belief tells them that death, fighting for your country and fighting for your religion, is actually paradise. So the passion, Iran's passion, no one should have any doubt. They fought a prolonged war against Iraq. They have faced sanctions for more than 3 decades, and yet they've been able to give a telling response to Israel. So the country's got a lot of passion. The Jews may have some passion also, but not all of them. This definition of the war launched by Israel is not understood and approved by majority of Jews in the world. Amongst the critics, you will see many Jews who say this is wrong. Killing of people in Gaza, in Khan Yunus, other places, innocent people, children. This is not war, and this is not what the religion tells them to do. So, but what they have on their side is the entire Western support. So, I like to give an example of David's sling. It
Hmm.
was one stone in the sling that killed the Goliath. They've also named their best anti-missile defense David sling. One stone, but will it work for them or will something else work for Iran? It is for us to analyze and see. And in any case, once they give an example of David sling, then they're referring to the house of Judah. And the house of Judah gives equal rights to the Jews and all the Gentiles who are under them. Oppression is prohibited. Prophet Jeremiah, in his scriptures and many books that he authored directly or indirectly, has been warning Jew kings not to do this in the past. Uh, but they have technology on their side, they have entire international support on their side. So, head to head, it is the game of numbers in weaponry pitched against the passion of Iranians and very little technology that they have. Coming to the culminating point, both sides are proofing off their ammunition, long distance standoff ammunition. I do not know what stockpiles Israel has. I do not know exactly what stockpiles Iran has. But I can say that while the Israelis will get ready made shipments from the United States of America and their allies for the defense systems that they have, whoever manufactures them, Iranians probably also have something for the final battle. And the fact that the Iranians have stretched it last night also to another level means they have still not reached their culmination point. The limit of culmination point will also depend on the availability of energy and the supplies. Opening the exterior, Israel is operating on exterior lines now because they're going to get. Iran is on the interior lines. They're self-sufficient in energy. Plus, whatever they have, they already have it, and it's stored in the mountains wherever they have it. So, this is what it is. Uh, the Netanyahu is trying to give a very noble cause now. It's a face-saving cause, and that is we want to bring democracy to Iran. We want
Like
to
the other countries like Iraq and
yeah.
Afghanistan.
So now
Same.
their fallback position is a regime change. How that regime change takes place? Do they force the Iranians to capitulate, surrender as President Trump wants them to do, and then a government, according to wishes of United States of America, West and Israel, is installed there. And what it will achieve in due course of time, I do not know. Because in some countries it has not worked. It's not worked in Iraq, it has not worked in Libya, but for the time being, it is working in Syria. So, because in Syria they already had the Kurds with an autonomous region who were their allies already. So, all these calculations, combinations, and permutations have to be taken into consideration.
Right. So, what will this final battle be like? What do you have in mind, or maybe if you like to comment on the concept of final battle in Netanyahu's mind and in the minds of the Iranians?
I think you see, if we take morality into consideration, international politics there is no morality. But if we take morality into consideration, then Iran was already negotiating with the United States of America, and some Iranians tell us that there was agreement, considerable agreement. Now, I could translate the word considerable into 70-80% things had already been sorted. So why had Netanyahu to intervene and shelve the entire process of negotiations with the United States of America? He couldn't have done it without their approval because it depends on for his supplies on them. So if that be the case, it was done deliberately to stall the negotiations because Iran were proving, and the international inspectors of the atomic energy have already said that the sites we have inspected, there's no weaponization taking place. And Iran was trying to assure them. But what has intrigued me the most is by chance yesterday, again by chance, I bumped into the podcast of Christiane Amanpour with her ex husband, Jamie. and the latest was on Iran. And she talked with a lot of passion, and she talked with a lot of insight into history. And she said that at one point, CNN was actually playing the role of a negotiator between Iran and the US administration.
But
According
Samson
to
sir,
her, according to her, Iran was always engaged with the United States of America. This is what was surprising for me. I know the case of Palu and
but
Pak.
the question is, were the Americans really serious about these negotiations? Because I have very little doubt in mind that they were hand in gloves with the Israelis in carrying out these attacks, and this whole facade of talks appears to be a distraction for the Iranians because the kind of surprise attack was carried out on the night of the negotiations, the same day
Yes,
when the negotiations were taking place.
yes.
So, if Americans were in possession of the knowledge of the attacks, why did they not share it with their Iranian counterparts with whom they were sitting at the negotiation table?
I agree with you. Yes, they were deceiving them. They were
So
and
they
this
they
is what
they
Marport said.
manipulated. This whole element of chance appears to be contrived by the Americans in favor of
Yes.
the Israelis.
You see, let me speak. What Christian Amanpour implied was nearly 30 years Iranians were engaging the Americans. I think they wanted good relations with America. They didn't want to bank on Russia all along till this happened.
Hmm.
Yes.
So this element of chance and the passion and the final battle, it appears to be quite linked in this entire scenario. Uh, Let me draw your attention to what is happening on the other side of the wall. And in Europe, and as we were discussing earlier today, there are two American scholars who appear to be distracting the world, and I don't know if they are really doing it intentionally. One is Jeffrey Sachs, and the other is Dr. Mearsheimer, who are quite respected and quite respected by the Indians and the Pakistani scholars, thinkers at the moment. Jeffrey Sachs was even invited to India maybe 2 months ago, and they appear to be quite influential in the way in which Pakistani and Indian political scientists are developing their minds and developing their theories. How do you see these two gentlemen? Uh, One is asking India to join China, and at the same time, he's advising the Europeans to join hands with the Russians. And as Americans, they are delivering the spreading this kind of wisdom to the rest of the world. How do you see their position?
Okay, first of all, uh, Seymour Hersh, he's just a journalist who has the art of getting whiffs of something strange happening around. And he's become very popular because of that. Sometimes he's been right, sometimes he's been wrong. You can say he's a journalist in the category of alarmists. He's not a strategist, he's not a politician. He brings the news to to the people according to his perspective and also to a certain segment of society what suits their perspective. So he's not much of a fry as far as international politics is concerned. Jeffrey Sachs, yes, probably he's the most known economist in the Keynesian school of economics. And this Keynesian school has not been implemented anywhere in the world. The international monetary system, controlled by the international financial institutions, behind the back by the biggest finance houses like the Rothschilds and the JP Morgans and the Wall Streets and all that. Uh, they don't allow any space for the policies of an economist like Sachs. I remember he was also called to Peru to put their economy right. Didn't achieve much. He's been called by India. There's a reason. Whatever will happen in Iran next, in case Iran faces defeat, then they will come to Iran under a UN resolution. And Sachs is going to be a very important economist in that, in the United Nations. And that is where his maximum time in life has been spent. Uh, as far as India getting closer to China and Europe getting closer to Russia is concerned, he has his own views, and he feels that rather than involving the United States, they should be one to one with them and bring peace. He's a pacifist in that element of the theory of political science. So, as far as China is concerned, whatever I've read about him, he's been telling the West and the international financial institutions that your World Bank and IMF recipes are outdated and outmoded.
Hmm.
China, with its economic systems, is overtaking you in Africa. And the stage has come where your politics through financial manipulation will not matter in African countries. And he's a great admirer of the human resource development in China. I am also a great admirer because the standard of education, the top Chinese universities in the world, they've overtaken the Ivy Leagues and everything. It's just spellbinding. The life of a common man in China has changed. I've traveled all over the world. I tell you, the type of villages they have in China won't have them even in Norway, which is a welfare state of Europe. Beautiful country looking after its people, or even Finland. So,
But China and Norway are not comparable,
is an admirer
given
of that.
their
You see,
population.
there was a discussion: can India compete with China? Most sensible people said it's just not possible without human resource development. So maybe it is in that context that he's been asking India to learn a few lessons from China.
Right. So, the final question today. What is all the fuss about in the Middle East? What are they fighting for? What are they fighting over? What are they fighting about? And if you like to put this question in a different way, what is the main objective of the war from the Israeli perspective? Is that the dismantling of Iran's nuclear capability, or the regime change, or both? Or are these two objectives only an eyewash? The real thing is something else, which nobody's talking about.
Yes, exactly. It is containment of China and containment of Russia. That is the true objective of this conflict. When India attacked Pakistan, everyone was saying Pakistan is fighting China's proxy war. Pakistan's become a proxy. They are mercenaries. This was the talk going on. No one is saying that about Iran now. The final objective is containment of China. What started with the Spikeman and Mackinder and Mahan's theories put together, this is the final test of that. And it is to completely push back China in the BRI projects and other things, to divorce them from West Asia, which is Middle East. The name Middle East was coined by Mahan, Admiral Mahan, and through them, Africa. So, as I discussed with you, the Devil's Triangle, you see the African countries which are part of that triangle. So,
Yes,
China is the ultimate objective.
China is the ultimate objective. Thank you so much, Samson Saab, for this enlightening talk today. We'll continue this kind of discussion in the future as well. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this talk has revealed some kind of truth to our audience, and things are not really as they appear to be.
Certainly, if our audience is read, if our audience is read, and that's why we're doing this program in English, they are they read good books. They don't read articles by Seymour Hersh and all these people. They read substance on strategy. Then they'll understand what I've said. Otherwise, they'll just rubbish it off.
And I think they can do themselves a favor by stop listening to what many channels are saying, especially Indian and Pakistani TV channels, even the Western media. What they are saying is a total distraction. Thank you so much, Samson Saab, once
My
again.
last word, this war is being fought by Israel and the West without a strategy. There's no strategy.
But there's a clear objective.
There's a clear objective.
Clear objective without a strategy. So they have jumped into something which they don't know how to finish. So let's see how it ends. Khuda Hafiz. Thank you very much. Khuda Hafiz.
Pakistan, Zindabad.